All right, let's talk Caleb Williams here in the Chicago Bears. We're, previewing this game. We talked about how it really felt like the Bears were probably going to have to put up points to win this one, and this is an opportunity for them to put up points against not a very good defense, and well, put up points they did. How about 47 of them? Let's talk about what went so right for this Bears offense and a little bit of what went wrong as well. First play you see on your screen, just going to be a play action right here. Haven't broken it down too much because a big part of this game, I thought, was what Williams did kind of, I thought when a play broke down. Watch, you see, runs the play action, looks over the middle, doesn't love what he sees, and is able to kind of navigate the pocket pretty well when there was pressure off the edge. Going to try and scramble, but there is a Cincinnati player coming up to make a play. And in a previous video, I kind of compared Williams to Brock Purdy, and maybe some people might find that to be a bit of a weird comparison, and I'm just simply talking stylistically. What works well with Purdy in the Shanahan system is that the Shanahan scheme kind of works pretty well, but there are the occasional plays where you need something else to go right, and Purdy's a really good playmaker. He's really good when a play breaks down, and we're seeing kind of a similar thing with Caleb Williams here. Watch him make a man miss, and he picks up the first down, and I think even makes another guy miss before finally going down. And I think this is kind of what Ben Johnson likes about Williams, is yes, maybe Jared Goff at this point in his career runs the offense better, but if you can just run the offense good enough, you can become actually a more complete offense because of these types of plays. Like this one's another one where second down and 3 here in the second quarter. Williams takes the snap. You see there is going to be pressure off the edge. So for Williams, he could throw a check down, and honestly, that's probably what he should do in this situation. Instead, though, watch him pull off the spin move, keeps his eyes downfield, throws, and picks up yards that way. So that's even more than what the check down would have given them. So again, that's a play where it's like an average quarterback does not make this play happen. It's something that he can make happen, and there's just a ton of value in that. This play is probably the best example of it because, those last two plays, it's like, okay, the play itself isn't really working as designed. This one, the play kind of does work as designed. So first down and 10, you see it's zone coverage for the Cincinnati Bengals. That's your zone blitz. So one less guy in coverage. The Bears are going to run a play action, and then Williams will roll out towards the top of the screen. You see why. There are several routes going in that direction. Often that route is the one that gets the most open, and again, you can see why with the two receivers to the right, one running shallow, one running deep. Those are going to kind of push the two defenders who start off in that direction, shallow and deep, and then that over the middle route starting on the other side of the field can get open. Williams takes a snap. It is working down the field, but there is pressure off the edge. This was designed, but the idea was that the play action would draw him more towards the left side of the offense. Didn't happen. Williams is in trouble. And again, for even a good game manager quarterback, this play is dead. You have to throw it away and maybe even take a sack in this situation. Instead, Williams is going to keep running and, makes the throw down the field. Again, that's a play where Ben Johnson, what he drew up down the field worked. What he drew up at the line of scrimmage did not, but it kind of half worked, and Williams was able to take care of the other half, and that's exactly what I think Ben Johnson likes about Caleb Williams. Now, we can talk about this play. This was one example. There were some others where you see it throws a little bit behind Adunze in the end zone, right? And there were some of that where it's not perfect accuracy. That is something you see with Caleb Williams and something they're still trying to clean up exactly. Is that accuracy? Is it timing? Whatever. Ultimately, there were a few of those, although I will mention also, later on this drive, you had this third down and goal now. So this was 2 plays later, zone coverage. Once again, they're going to try and hit, this one's actually Colston Loveland, who is a guy we're going to talk about a bit more in this video. You see the concept on the screen, trying to get into a gap in coverage. Williams takes the snap. Is there a window for him to make this throw? Yeah, there's a window. It's a very small window. I mean, this is a play where you're gonna have to get the ball there in a hurry because Cincinnati players can close this window quickly. However, that's exactly what happens. Beautifully thrown football from Caleb Williams. Nice catch by Colston Loveland. Nice route by Colston Loveland. And good job using his physicality to create some separation as well. So, again, you'll deal with the occasional misthrow if you also get the occasional this play. And I feel like it was on a lot more than just occasions in this game. We can sit here and say, well, sure, he played good against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, but this is a good defensive play. This is not a bad defensive play. This isn't hitting someone wide open or throwing a screen pass for 50 yards. It's a great play, and that's why you draft this guy first overall. Also heading over here, like I said, more Colston Loveland to talk about. This one is now 24-27 as this game is getting higher scoring, but neither team can separate themselves too much at this point. You see the route. It's a zone coverage play, but really this is going to be a one-on-one matchup with Colston Loveland. Watch as the receiver in front takes away the safety, so the corner now covers Loveland. Does a pretty decent job of trying to get back in position, but Loveland just cuts quick enough. One of the things that a big reason why Colston Loveland ultimately was drafted above Tyler Warren was because of his route running. And Tyler Warren was considered the better overall tight end, but a lot of people liked Colston Loveland's route running a little bit more. Most people still had Warren as the tight end one, but still, that was I think that's part of what Ben Johnson liked about him and why ultimately the Bears decided to draft him ahead of Warren. And here he makes the catch and is able to pick up a ton of yards. And listen, the conversation about Loveland has been weird, right? I mean, the fact that Tyler Warren has played great to start the season, that's completely irrelevant to how good Colston Loveland will be or will not be. I get it. It's the way the draft works, and everyone wants to say, I told you so, or you made a mistake, or whatever. But still, let's get into the final sequence. So, Bears were looking good. All of a sudden, the Bengals pull off this miracle comeback. They hit the onside kick. They find themselves down a point here, the Bears do. 3rd down and 10, and they, 35 seconds, only one timeout. They need a play. Williams takes the snap, and it's going to go from bad to worse. Pressure immediately off the edge for Williams. So again, does he want to get rid of this ball quickly? There really isn't a place to right now. This is just too early of a pressure. A lot of times pressure happens eventually into a play, but when it happens this soon, which is rare, but when it happens this soon, there's just not much you can do about it. So Loveland is going to, move around. I said Loveland. Williams is able to move around, gets outside the pocket. You see here, though, this is interesting because at this point, so it's 3rd and 10, but also clock management comes into play with 28 seconds left. You don't want to get tackled in bounds because you only have one timeout. That kills the final timeout, which is, ideally you'd like to save the timeout for a field goal opportunity. But what's worse than that is a 4th down. And if you can pick up the 1st down, it's worth it to stay in bounds. And so you see a defender thinks he's going out. Williams decides to cut upfield. Really smart play there. Understanding the situation. Yes, they have to burn their timeout, but now you don't have to worry about a 4th down. And now you're in a much better situation where they were able to, have a better opportunity. And so what did they do with that opportunity? Well, this is the play. It's a 1-point game still because it's, later on in the drive. No timeouts now, 25 seconds left. So you can throw over the middle. You have time to spike it if you want to, but you have to make sure you get a chunk play for throwing over the middle. You see it's Colston Loveland once again trying to get into a gap in coverage. And when this play begins, well-ran route from Loveland. Cincinnati has to cover this better. They just do. There's no way that they should be this far off in this situation. You got to read this play better. But take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. Williams getting the ball there in a hurry. As you see, Loveland makes the grab. Also not great tackling by Cincinnati. Got to get that guy on the ground there. Force the Bears to make a long field goal. They fail to do so. Loveland picks up the touchdown instead. That ices things. The Bears survive. So, listen, again, you talk about with the Chicago Bears, they're now 5-3, and we can sit here and say, well, they've been uninspiring for some of these wins. But ultimately, historically, the Bears lose these games. Historically, the Bears are on the wrong side of a crazy game like this instead of on the right side. And a big part of it in this game was their young quarterback making the plays when he had to. If this team is going to be taken seriously as a real contender, they have work to do. But right now, we're taking them seriously as a team that could make the playoffs, which means they've already done a lot of work considering where they were in previous years. And I thought Williams was great in this one. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.